Let's see, Eric Young on the McMahon documentary. I don't know what people were expecting. I mean, Netflix is married to WWE. What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? You think like they didn't go hard enough in the documentary, EY? Is that what you're saying? I don't know. Let's see. What are you saying? We'll get to that. Oh, let's just go to the article. We can read. I got eyeballs. I can read. James in the chat, did the Cornette podcast come out about last week's Dynamite? I looked, it hasn't come out yet. I'm anxiously awaiting it. I don't know if you guys are following me on YouTube as well, but the comment sections of my Jim Cornette reviews have been very fun. I get notifications every now and again, or I get on my phone, I'm like, oh wow, more subscribers, that's great. And then it's like 100 comments of everyone telling you why you're dumb, and I'm like, all right, cool. It's good. It is a good mix. It is a good mix of people. Don't move that too close to my microphone. It's a good mix of positivity and negativity. You know, no man is ever truly good. No man is ever truly evil. Shout out Malachi Black's WWE theme. All right, Eric Young. For those who don't know, Eric Young is been a mainstay in TNA wrestling for a long time. He did have a little bit of a run over in NXT as part of Sanity. I think he was called Eric Young over there too. So I don't think there's been much of a difference between his names. So if you have to look him up. Netflix released all 6 episodes of Mr. McMahon documentary on the life of Vince McMahon. Nothing we wrestling fans really didn't know about, which is so funny to me, right? Is that there are people out there who are not smartened up to Vince McMahon's, how do I want to put this? Vince McMahon's crimes. Yeah, let's just call them what they are. There are a lot of people who aren't smartened up to Vince McMahon's crimes. Wrestling fans have known all about his improprieties for years. So it is funny to me, and I'm sure this happens with every single subculture out there when there's like a documentary. For example, when Tiger King was released, I'm sure all the people in the exotic animal collecting community was like, oh, I'm glad they're talking about that creep Joe Exotic. And this is our Tiger King. This is our Tiger King because we have a crazy man doing all sorts of crimes who was above the law essentially for so long. Like he never faced any consequences for any of his actions. The closest ones he got was a steroid trial in the 90s, and he like wore the gimmick neck brace and eventually got out of it. The feds don't like when you get away. The feds have like a conviction rate of like 90 some odd %. And the fact that Vince McMahon got away the first time is probably stuck in someone's craw for a long time. And now they're like, we got you now. You're done for. But there's always been these creeps in different subcultures, and we've known about Vince McMahon for a long time. I don't think that this is anything new to a lot of us. Now, I did see where a lot of people did say they had never seen the over-the-edge footage of the wrestlers wrestling on the canvas where Owen Hart met his untimely demise. That, if you haven't seen it, is kind of jarring, which I get. It is jarring to see that there is a stain on the mat, unfortunately, from where he hit. And like there's wrestlers wrestling near it and on it. And it's like, oh my, the fact that even continued, right? That should have been it. Vince McMahon should have been absolutely cooked by continuing that pay-per-view. And here's the thing. I don't think there's anyone in their right mind who would have blamed them for stopping the show. I can't imagine like seeing that footage again. All of those people saw that happen, and granted, they didn't have Twitter, they didn't have access to the internet and stuff like that on your phone, so you couldn't figure out exactly what has happened, what was going on. But the fact that happened in a live arena full of people, and then they just kept going. They just kept watching the show. Like that should have been, I'm sorry, like as wrestling fans, we should have said, no, you have to go. I'm sorry, Vince McMahon. That is a terrible judgment call. It is probably one of the worst calls in live wrestling production history. Somebody passes away on your show, and then you're just like, we still gotta let the Undertaker wrestle. Like Jeff Jarrett still has to go out there. Buddy, no one needs to see a Jeff Jarrett match after that. I'm sorry. No offense to Jeff Jarrett. We didn't need to see the match. You should have sent everybody home, and even the fans. It's crazy to me that like that was one of the things that he did, and we were just like, okay, yeah, it's Vince, Vince. Like, I'm sorry, but wrestling fans, we let Vince go on for way too long. Like, we could have voiced our concerns a little bit more. We did like hand wave. I'll be honest, and I'm one of them, right? I am one of them as well. previously, and I can admit that. I can admit that there was, and in my 20s, there was a lot of hand waving of the stuff that Vince McMahon did, whether it was like the Ashley Mazzaro stuff. I mean, any number of women in the WWE who came out with claims. We just kind of brushed those off. And look, I don't think you're a bad person necessarily if you hand wave those things, but eventually, if you continue to hold those views in the face of people talking about this thing as you grow older, because as a young 20-something, I held those same views. I cannot sit here in good conscience say you guys are bad people. Look, maybe you just don't understand. Maybe you haven't had the empathy come into your body yet and realize that maybe we should not support bad people. Maybe we shouldn't support bad things. Having said that, as now I am older, I realize that all of those things were bad. And now I feel this sense of I did not do the work earlier. I need to do the work now. Like I absolutely need to do the work on this because, dude, it's bad. We let him run wild. We let him just be an absolute menace. And I'll be honest, that's kind of on us. Let's see what Eric Young had to say. Or chat, what's chat saying? The fans aren't helping him. Yeah, man. This Vince McMahon stuff. There are so many people taking these bad takes, right? And unfortunately, I've seen these bad takes from people. And okay, right? I don't mean to. I'm not obviously not calling anybody out because I'm not giving any names. But this is a story, right? This is an example. I made a TikTok a while back where I talked when the news broke January 26th. About these allegations. I made a TikTok. It got like 1.3 million views. Now, I don't say that to pat myself on the back. I say that to illustrate a point. When your media or your creations get that much attention, you're going to get bad actors. And you're going to get people who are just bad actors, people who are just not all mentally there or don't have like empathy. I can't tell you how many people I saw in the chat go about, oh, well, we don't know anything. This is lies. His victim is just doing this to get more money out of Vince McMahon. And I understand, right? I understand that there are going to be people out there, especially men, sometimes women, because ladies, you can be bad too. It's 2024. You can be as bad as you want to be. But anyways, there is a amount of guys in the comment sections who are saying things of the nature of, well, Vince McMahon didn't do that. She's money hungry. To illustrate, the reason I tell that story is to illustrate the point of people having parasocial relationships with people they don't know. Having a parasocial relationship with a billionaire is ludicrous. That is even crazier than having liking Sabrina Carpenter too much or something like that. But when you're going to bat for a bloodless, soulless individual like Vince McMahon, you're on the wrong side of history. I don't know what to tell you. We'll go, and for those who don't know, I did read the full transcript over on my YouTube. It took a couple hours. If you watch it, the audio's bad. I'm sorry. Also, the reading's bad. I was educated in the public school systems of my formative years in Kentucky. And I'm sorry for that, but that's my struggle. And if you want to read it yourself, go read it. But if you want to throw it on in your car, listen to it that way. Text messages are horrifying. Let's get into this Eric Young piece here. What's he have to say? Netflix released 6 episodes. Docu-series, lawsuit filed by... Talked about various topics, including the lawsuit filed by Sable. Yep, Sable too, right? Not one we talk about a lot. And she's... Dude, that's... Okay, so Vince McMahon was sued by Sable for sexual harassment in the 90s. Who is married to Sable? Chat, who is married to Sable? Somebody let me know. And if you don't, I'll let the chat know. But that is very important. For those who don't know, James does know. G. Jason knows. Big K Dog knows. I have a chat full of geniuses, very smart individuals. She is married to Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is also referenced in the indictment. I'm sorry. But if your wife, and I think they weren't married at the time, but if your future wife has sued your former boss for sexual harassment. Now, I don't fault Brock for going and wrestling for WWE. It was the only game in town legitimately for him. Now, having said that, the fact that Brock Lesnar was brought up in the indictment, referenced a few times of a former UFC champion who was re-signing during a certain time, you are literally engaging in the same behavior that your wife had to go through with the man who put your wife through that. And people are still going to go to bat for this man. People are still going to go to bat for Brock Lesnar and say he needs to come back. WWE literally has him still on the roster page. I talked about that last week. What are we doing? I know, right? It might be bad for my health to be commenting on Brock Lesnar this way, but if he shows up at my house and beats me up, all right, cool, fun story. But this is ridiculous, Brock. You are no better than the man who tormented your wife. You are literally the monster, allegedly, right? I mean, I say allegedly, but they basically say everything it's Brock Lesnar besides having Paul Heyman go, it's Brock Lesnar. It's ridiculous. It's so crazy. Hold on. For those who don't know, right? And this is if your first time in the stream is today, this is how the stream goes. We kind of bounce around. I misspelled McMahon. That's okay. I'm just misspelling everything. I don't care. I need the court text. Oh, you didn't even spell court correctly. Where is it? Wall Street Journal article. Read the allegations. All right. I thought I had them on. I had the file saved to my computer at one point in time, but I probably deleted it. No, I need the full lawsuit. Here it is. This is probably it. All right. Search. UFC. Wait, is this showing? No, dude, I don't want. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know necessarily what this page is, but that's okay. Download this as a PDF. I do not want to create an account. Do I have to? Fine. Document right now, the free trial. Get out of my face. It's a public document. Oh my God. Vince McMahon lawsuit. Vince McMahon Connecticut court complaint. 67 pages. Here we go. All right. Can I find on this page? Control F, Command F rather. UFC. Okay, here we go. On March 2020, McMahon began sharing, and I'm going to edit some of this stuff down so it doesn't get hit by any censorship bars or whatever. March 2020, Vince McMahon began sharing explicit photographs and videos of Miss Grant, who is the victim in this case, including images that would be adult in nature. With other men, Vince McMahon shared these with men inside and outside of the company, with members of the television production tech team, executive producers, and world famous athlete, and a former UFC world heavyweight champion, with whom WWE was actively trying to sign a new contract, and ultimately did sign to a new contract. To my knowledge, there has only been three WWE wrestlers who have also held the World Heavyweight Championship. One of those being Dan Severn. Considering Dan Severn has not re-signed for the WWE, and Dan Severn was like champion in 1993 and 7 or something like that, I'm going to throw Dan Severn out the window. A lot of people at the time were like, well, it could have been Ronda Rousey, which is crazy to me because I don't think the UFC has a women's heavyweight division. They should. They totally should. That would be fun to watch. I want to see the big women punch. Other than that, it would be Cain Velasquez. And I don't think Cain Velasquez re-signed with WWE. He was on like the one entrance episode or the new episode of SmackDown when they went to Fox, right? I think he came out after they jobbed out Kofi. And then he wrestled a Saudi show, and then he was gone forever. So I think that is probably Brock Lesnar. Actively trying to sign a new contract, given McMahon's omnipotent position in WWE, coercion was inherent in his increasingly depraved demands. Specifically, McMahon was the CEO of WWE. Miss Grant was an employee at the entry-level coordination legal department. Blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? I don't mean it like that. But yeah, man, I think that's Brock Lesnar. I don't think, allegedly, don't sue me. Let's get back to this, though. Back to EY, Eric Young here. I don't know what people were expecting from... Netflix. Let me reset this camera. There we go. 1 second here, folks. Okay, I don't know what people were expecting from Netflix's Vince McMahon docuseries. I mean, Netflix is married to WWE. No one understands better than he does. No one understands better than he doesn't work there anymore. But I mean, his legacy will be a part of the company as long as it exists. Okay. I would say, my personal opinion, a genius, maybe the greatest promoter living. And he lost his way along what was obvious. He lost his way along the way. There we go. Obviously, in the documentary is certainly not kind. I haven't seen it, but I know people that have, and I don't know if I'll watch it or not. Certainly not on my list. There are a lot of other good TV shows I'm busy watching, and this comes off as the stuff that there's been with all the stuff we've been talking about before. Yeah, I'm with you, EY. It is a lot of the stuff that we have talked about before. So there's no news to me, but I definitely got word anybody that's linked or affiliated to wrestling in any way and wondering what's going to happen. Never a dull moment in pro wrestling, for sure. You guys know that. Yeah, I mean, I'm with Eric Young here. There's a lot of there's not stuff we didn't know, right? This is all bad stuff. And I'm not saying we're bad people for watching it. I'm just saying we need to do the work now, right? We need to do the work and let people know that this stuff isn't okay in the space of professional wrestling. Because it's not, right? It's absolutely not. It's ridiculous that she had to go through that. And yeah, cool. All right. Anyways, let's see, chat. What are you saying here? Vince is not the greatest booker ever, but he worked with the greatest and was very, very good. Who's the greatest booker ever, James, in your opinion, man? So, greatest booker ever, right? I guess it depends on what you're looking at. If you're talking about like the money that he made and taking wrestling from small regional promotions and making it a like international conglomeration and this billion-dollar company, sure, that's very impressive. Good job. But, ultimately, was it a net positive for pro wrestling? I want to say yes, but I also want to say it did hurt the spirit of pro wrestling, right? The independent circuits and stuff, that's where pro wrestling made its name. That's where it started at. And being able to have small independent promotions, I think, is good. But we also do need some like main product. I'll be honest. And I think WWE does that very well. You're saying in regards to his stories. Yeah, his stories are a little weak. They're weird too. How many weird stories did we sit through that we were just like, oh, it's just a weird storyline. Just like, what would you call it? Just like not telenovela. Oh, telenovela works, right? Soap opera, right? All this weird stuff happens in soap operas all the time. And maybe that's why we didn't blink an eye at it. But then again, it seems like he was about that life, unfortunately, and for all the people that he worked in. And I don't think Vince McMahon should ever come back to the professional wrestling business. I don't care if he has a bunch of money and wants to start his own promotion. I don't think he should be allowed. I mean, there's nothing we can really do. But if you're a worker and you're going to go work for Vince McMahon still after all this, dude, get out of my face. I don't ever want to hear from you again. I understand people are trying to make money. People are trying to make a name for themselves. But like, if you're a bloodless individual who will go wrestle for McMahon, we don't need you. We just don't need you in pro wrestling anymore. The business has outgrown you. And G. Jason in the chat saying, I've seen he was going to do a story about impregnating Steph. Dude, that is so weird. It is so weird. Okay, pause, right? Take a second here. I understand pro wrestling is a television show. That's not lost on me at all. Trust me, I worked in wrestling. But I also understand the fact that wrestling is this weird medium where it blurs the lines between real and fake. And not everybody is going to understand that it's fake. I wouldn't want people who think wrestling is real to think I impregnated my daughter, especially when I am the person who gets the final say in literally everything the company does. Like, he's a creep. He's an absolute weirdo. I just let it go on for so long. For absolutely so long, we just let that go on and we were like, oh, it's okay. It's wrestling. I like wrestling. Just remember, like, folks, when we're looking, even though it's like, what's the word? Something that you enjoy, like, you can call out stuff that you enjoy. Just be like, I'm so tired of these purity tests in wrestling where it's like, you said something negative about this wrestling promotion. You must hate them. You must be a loyalist for another company. It's like, no, dude, I don't like that thing. And that's okay. It's crazy. Wrestling is so divided. And I want to say that that's because, like, well, we'll get in. Forget it. You know what? I feel like talking about it. Look, wrestling fans defend stuff tooth and nail because we've always defended pro wrestling in general. The fact that we're in our little safe space of like the IWC and we're still fighting about stuff is kind of silly. Like, for example, everyone else outside of wrestling thinks we're all big nerds that for liking wrestling. Sorry, we're geeks, we're dorks, losers. It's fine. That's what everybody else thinks. But we defend pro wrestling to those people all the time. You guys know it's fake, right? Yeah, dude, we know it's fake. Lord of the Rings is fake. Law and Order is fake. We still watch it. We still enjoy it. Whatever. And we've gotten this mindset that we've been just fighting these other people for so long that we fight each other about the most inane stuff, just the dumbest things imaginable. We continue to argue with each other on, and I don't get it. I don't get why we do it. Look, you are in the professional wrestling space. You're in the IWC. You are amongst your nerdy friends and family. Please, just for the love of God, stop arguing about the dumbest things imaginable. I do have something to talk about that here, but we'll jump back around to our news still. Will Gray, what's up, buddy? He says, I love good wrestling. I hate bad wrestling. I don't worry about the 3 letters of the company. No, man, I get that. I totally get that. I'm with you. But here's the thing for me. I even love the bad wrestling. I'm sorry, but there's this old song that this guy sung at like one of the Von Erichs. It's I'm going to wrestling. R.A. and that's wrestling. There's a lyric in there. He has a lyric in there and he says, hold on. I'm pulling it up. Let's pull it up. Glenn Goza, I'm going to wrestling. Where's my lyrics? No, come on, dude. Can't play the song on the stream. Here we go. Boss called me up and said, come on into work. And I just hang up on that slave driving jerk. I'm going to wrestling. You think I'd rather be sweating at the docks or watching someone use a hammer lock? I'm going to wrestling. That's exactly the way that I feel. A good day watching a day watching bad wrestling is better than a good day at the office, man. I love pro wrestling so much. I'll watch the bad stuff. Yeah, dude, this song absolutely rips. This is the song for your fall here. If you're not listening to this song, you're missing out. I mean, look, referencing the missing link, you got, where was it? He said, I'd like to see Ric Flair when he's out there strutting. Andre the Giant must be 7'9". I wouldn't miss it for a dozen girls. I wouldn't miss this for nothing. That's right, baby. Wrestling's for the boys and the girls. No, man, that's what I'm saying. This song rips. Anyways,